We're going to do a quick review on slope, intercept, and graphing. And this has to do with linear equations. So first of all, slope. Remember slope we talked about, and I've asked you in tests and things like, what is slope in your own words? Slope is how quickly something goes up or down. It's like angle of inclination or something like that. So like something like this is really steep. It has a higher slope. Something like this is a little bit not as steep. It has a lower slope. But both of these, as you look at them left to right, just like we read, going up. So both of these have a positive slope. All right, and if it had one that was going down, I would say, all right, well, return the whole thing like that. Now they're both going down. That's a little confusing. But if I make another line that goes down ever so slightly, that one has a negative slope. It's not a very steep slope, so it's a smaller negative number. But what actually is, when we're looking at slope, we're really looking at, say for example, we've got a couple points, -3, 1. So that's over -3 to the left, -1, -2, -3, and then up 1. So it's over 3 to the left, up 1, because it's a positive 1. And I have a point right there. That coordinate there, that one single point, has two coordinates, -3, 1, to describe the location of that single point. And if I have another point right here in the middle, its coordinate is 0, 0, because I've gone 0 in the x direction and 0 in the y direction. So that point is 0, 0. To find slope in a graph, you've been doing this really well. But you start at one point, usually working left to right is the best way to go. So this is the first point going left to right. And in order to get to the next point, I go down 1, and then over 1, 2, 3. So I go down 1 and to the right 3. Down 1 is -3. To the right 1, not -3. Because that would be going down 3, we went down 1. So that's -1. And then we're going to go to the right 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's over 3. Because it's positive 3 because I'm going in a positive direction. Words that we've used is rise over run to describe that relationship. The rise is down, so it's -1. The run is to the right 3, so I'm going from bigger numbers, -3, -2, -1, 0. I'm getting bigger, so it's a positive value. Down 1, over 3, there's my slope. All right, and then we have letters that we give that. So we say this is m equals -1/3. Rise over run. We use the French letter M for monter. But that means to go up or to go down. You don't have to remember that unless you know French. All right. So there's another way to find slope. If I take the y-coordinate of one point and subtract the y-coordinate of a second point, put that over the x-coordinate of the first point minus the x-coordinate of the second point. So what do I mean by that? I'm like, well, I go over here and I say, all right, this is x, this is y. This is x, this is y. I will call this point 1 and I will call this point 2. When I do that, I say, all right, y1 is the y-coordinate of the first point. So I'm going to write the number 1 minus, and then here y2 is the y-coordinate of the second point. So here's the second point. This is the y-coordinate. It's always x, y. And the y-coordinate is 0, so I write 0. I'm going to go divided by. And then I go back to the first point, because it's x1. So the x-coordinate of the first point is -3. So I write -3 minus, because that's what the equation is. All right, the x coordinate of point 2. Here's point 2. This is the x coordinate. Again, it's x comma y, x comma y. So x comma y, x2 is 0. So I go, all right, 1 minus 0 is 1. Negative 3 minus 0 is negative 3. And then 1, oh, I'm not going to be able to shrink those up. 1 divided by negative 3 is negative 1/3, which is what we had over here. It's the same thing, yay! So now I've got this, and I've got this equation y equals negative 2x minus 3. It is in what we call slope-intercept form. That is, if it's in this form where it's y equals something x plus or minus something, the number in front of the x, that coefficient, that number in front of the x is the slope. So my slope is negative 2, very careful. And then the number, it's mx plus b by the way, sorry about that, for any confusion. So then I have whatever number here is in line with the b, so the b is negative 3. B is negative 3. This is slope, this is y-intercept. So going to the graphing, we go, oh, y-coordinate, or y-axis. So the y-intercept, intercept means where does it intersect with the y? So here's the y. It intersects at negative 3. So I got to go on the y-axis to where negative 3 is. Well, here's negative 4, so that's negative 3. So I'm going to put a dot right where negative 3 is. Make it a big dot so we can see it easily. So the y-intercept is right there. And then I go to the slope. Slope is rise over run. And many of you are in the habit of saying, okay, well, that's going to be negative 2 over 1. Because that's rise over run. And you go to the one point that we already have over here. I'm going to go a rise of negative 2, down 2. Right? Because a negative 2 rise means I'm going down. So it goes down 2. And then a run of 1. 1 is positive, which means I go to the right. And that's where I put my next dot. So I went down 2 over 1. There's my point. Is there another way I could do it? Actually, yes. Negative 2 over 1 is the same as 2 over negative 1. Alright, because they both are negative 2. So that means my rise is 2. So I go up 2, 1, 2. And my run is negative 1. So I go to the left 1 and I put my point. And if I'm doing this right, all three of those dots should line up. Now my graph's a little messy. But then I can go up 2 over 1. There's my next point. Up 2 over 1. There's my next point. And then ultimately I have this line that goes through all of those points. And that line is this line right there. And there's my quick review of graphing. What are you going to do in your quarter sheet of paper? Here's what we're going to do. Y equals, we'll do 2x minus 3. Similar to the last one, but just a little different. What you're going to put in your quarter sheet is you need to put this equation. I want you to write m equals and tell me what the slope is. B equals, tell me what the y-intercept is. On the graph, I want you to graph. Show me where the y-intercept is. Where does it intersect the y-axis, and put a dot there. And then show me one more point to make the slope. That is, so if, like on the last example, we were at something, I think it was like negative 3 or negative 2, and then we went down and over and made the next point. And then I went up and over and made a point, up and over, made a point, up and over, made a point, and then show how they connect. I need at least 2 points. Connect the dots and make your graph. If you're confused, go back. Watch how I did it with the last problem. It's the same process, just slightly different numbers. So this is what you put on your quarter sheet of paper when you come to class. Thank you. We'll see you soon.